Bloomsburg, Pennsylvania. This quiet town in the north-central part of the state comes alive when the four-wheel and off-road Jamboree comes to town. But crashing the truckers' party will be the Monsters with their own fun and games. Snake Bite, the Grave Digger, and Andy Brass and Bigfoot are but a few of the party animals doing the Monster Mash in Bloomsburg. This is Trucks and Tractor Power, featuring the superstars of the four-wheel and off-road Jamboree Nationals Monster Truck Challenge. Welcome to Trucks and Tractor Power on the Nashville Network. Today we come to you from the Bloomsburg Fairgrounds in Bloomsburg, Pennsylvania for the four-wheel and off-road Jamboree Summer Nationals. For most of the year, Bloomsburg is a nice, quiet college town in north-central Pennsylvania. But one weekend out of the year, it turns into a trucker's paradise. Hundreds of trucks of all different styles, shapes, and sizes show off their wares as they cruise up and down Main Street in the heart of town. It's a scene reminiscent of Bike Week in Daytona. Only here in the Keystone State, it's a four-wheel, not a two-wheel happening. Hi, everybody. I'm Gary Lee here in the grandstand, and today's main event is not the trucks on Main Street. It's the Monsters here at the Bloomsburg Fairgrounds. And with more on that, let's go trackside to Army Armstrong.
Well, Gary, one weekend a year, the beautiful rolling hills of Pennsylvania are literally overrun with the roar of the monster trucks, and this is that weekend. We're going to tell you some of the stories going on behind the scene at the Super Jamboree event that takes place as people from all over the eastern part of the country have shown up. The big stories are Kill Devil Hill Gravedigger. Lyle Hancock driving Dennis Anderson's truck is going to try to play the role of the spoiler. Keep an eye open for those two red lights. That's a sign he's 100%. Speaking of 100%, Mopar, Chrysler Performance people have hooked up with Barefoot, Fred Schaefer. They want their first win. Is it going to happen today in Bloomsburg? We're going to find out. But one of the big stories of the year is over my shoulder. Bigfoot. Bob Chandler's operation have come up with Bigfoot number 10. But they still have yet to put that first win together. Will it take place today? We're not going to know until the afternoon is over. But the big story right now and of the year is the truck behind me. When he first came out, a lot of people thought it was a joke. Believe me, Colt Cobra is no joke. Mask and all, this guy is a player. Keep an eye on him. He'll be a big dog before the day's over. And that's only 4 of the trucks. Remember, we got the Dirty Dozen. 12 of the best trucks in the country are coming your way next, Gary.
And here's how they match up for round one. The fast qualifier Snake Bite against the 7th fast qualifier Nightmare. Then it's Gravedigger against UFO, the 10th fast qualifier. Bigfoot 10, Andy Brass against Tropical Thunder with Wayne Smozanik. The Carolina Crusher, Gary Porter, going up against No Problem. Also, King Crunch will take on American Made in round one. And Barefoot, Fred Schaefer against a new truck, Overkill, the 8th fastest qualifier. And there is a look at Lyle Hancock in the Gravedigger, the 1950 panel wagon of Dennis Anderson. One of the most popular trucks on the circuit. Just take a look at all the Gravedigger T-shirts up in the grandstand. Earlier this afternoon, Army Armstrong cut up with Lyle Hancock.
Anytime you step up and go into the driver's seat of another established vehicle, there's got to be a lot of pressure on you. Lyle, you took Dennis Anderson's place on the circuit. Tough shoes to fill?
Man, I tell you what, he must wear number 15 because everybody in that grandstands expect nothing but the best out of this truck, and sometimes it's real hard to fill those shoes as you're putting it. We always go out there and try to do the best show we can, and the number one thing we always got in mind is no matter what happens out there, the people in the grandstands are the most important things to us. We always make sure we do the best show we can for them.
Good thought to remember as we take a look at UFO. This is showbiz, Army Armstrong.
Gary, you're exactly right. He's showbiz until the light goes green, and Bob Fisher's going to prove that. He teamed up with Cunningham Competition to try to find the horsepower to beat the Gravedigger. New Jersey in the far lane, the Red Light Bandit from Kill Devil Hill, North Carolina in the near lane. Gary, first run of the day.
Lyle Hancock, the 1950 Chevy panel wagon, and he gets the whole shot. He cuts a good line. Look at the air time as he takes the victory.
Gary, it's amazing. The champion of the truck seems to be working perfect off that right lane. It's not touching the cars a bit. It seems to be clearing everything. I think the Gravedigger may have the hot setup.
Well, watch him cut this good light right here. He got the whole shot, and he won it right there at the start. A lot of air time. Now let's go down and talk to Lyle Hancock.
Larry, I know you weren't here last year, but everybody found out the right lane was the place to be. I think it took you just this one run to find out that's the place to be this year, too.
I watched everybody running over there in the left lane yesterday, and by chance, the way we drew the numbers on it, I got to pick the right lane to make my qualifying. And my first pass wasn't very good. I missed the second set of cars, but, you know, it's like anything else. You got to get a little used to the track. It felt good today. We made a gear ratio change last night, and I was actually leaving the line too hard last night, so I was putting the truck a little out of shape. As you seen it out there, I mean, it felt good.
John Moore in the cockpit of no problem as round one continues. We're coming back. Stay with us. We're in Bloomsburg, Pennsylvania, where Ford Trucks present the PENDA four-wheel and off-road Jamboree Summer Nationals, a part of the BF Goodrich Performance Series. Hi, everybody. Gary Lee along with Army Armstrong. Round one competition continues.
Gary Porter is going to be coming up against John Moore, and I want you to notice the front end of these trucks. Moore's truck is set up real loose, okay? I want to point it out to you. When the light goes green, it takes horsepower to raise the front end of Moore's truck up. That is a disadvantage right now with the new chassis set up. I talk about Moore's truck, then come across and look at the truck closest to us, Gary Porter. When that light goes green, the front end stays down and the truck goes forward. So what I'm telling you, they're still trying to get the chassis dialed in on the Ford. The raise, see it, is costing horsepower. That allows Porter to get out just TT to take the win.
Well, of course, Gary Porter has the truck he has worked with a couple of seasons. John Moore has a brand new racing vehicle, and it's going to take some time to work out the bugs and get that suspension and chassis to work.
Exactly. Notice how much lift there was in the front end. Well, the truck is designed to lift. Matter of fact, that design comes from off-road racing out of the Baja California circuit, but they've got to tweak it a little bit more, Gary, to get it to work on these 10,000-pound monster trucks.
Fast qualifier coming up, the snake bite. There's a look at Nightmare. Kirk Dabney out of northern Indiana, Fort Wayne, Indiana, the northeastern quadrant of the state. And there's a man from Cobra Creek, Colorado, Colt Cobra in the snake bite.
You know, it's interesting. A lot of people thought, hey, this is kind of a little facade here. No, this guy is for real. He built this truck solely to show that he could build one of the quickest Fords in the country. Earlier today, he proved it. Look how smooth he is when he wings it to the quick qualifying time.
Hear the throttle wing when he was in the air?
Well, the reason they do that is they want to hit the ground with the wheels pulling forward. You can't just get up in the air and just full throttle and then you'll blow an engine. But what they do is they burp the throttle and they hit the ground just like an airplane with the wheels pulling it. That actually pulls the truck into the ground, Gary. It's a safe way to drive them on.
There's a look at snake bite round one, the fast qualifier. He takes the victory over Nightmare and Kirk Dabney. So as we look to round two, snake bite knocking out Nightmare will take on the Gravedigger, a victor over UFO. Also in round two, Bigfoot, Andy Brass, that's Bigfoot 10. He'll take on Gary Porter in the Carolina Crusher, who knocked out No Problem. And finally in round two, we have King Crunch, Scott Stevens, defeating American Made against Barefoot, who knocked out Overkill. And Arma, you have caught up with Colt Cobra.
Colt, the word we get is a 575 out of the right lane. Is that the place to be?
I don't know, Army. You know, they put a little bit of water in between the cars here earlier, so we run pretty conservative. We qualified on the #1 spot yesterday. We're feeling real good with the right lane. The left lane still got that dip in it. It kind of spooks everybody from last year. So if we can help it, we're going to stay away from it. But, you know, right now everybody's chasing up.